What's your full name?
Kenneth Eugene Jones,
Where and when were you born?
November the 28th, 1928.
As a child, what did you look like?
Very cute. I don't know. I had two brothers alive, but they weren't home when I was there. They're quite a bit older than I was. Cecil and Marvin. And Buster, our oldest brother, died when he was 9 years old. He said he drank kerosene, a bottle of kerosene that was sitting by the water
I see.
deal. I'm not really sure.
It wasn't?
Yeah, I guess it was just rolled and high. I don't know.
Will you tell me about the prank that you told Ofa about that you did in high school?
Well, I don't know which one you mean. We've got about 150 of them.
Okay, pick the best one.
A prank that we did on somebody? Well, one of the best ones was they used to have the board meetings at school in the evening, and the teachers and the big shots in the school and everything, and a few of us guys got together and got a big log and took it up to the door, the main door, and built it up where they couldn't open the door. And then we went around to the other few doors and clogged those up a little bit with different things where they couldn't get out. And then I guess we started hollering, oh, fire, 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 or something like that. Or, get out of here, fire. 4, 5, 6 of us yelling, and they had a little trouble trying to get out. I always liked the shop. Shop was my main subject that I like. We had a shop where we done woodwork and lathes and saws and made different things, and I always enjoyed that more than anything.
How would other people describe you in high school, do you think?
A loner,
Really?
yeah.
Did you have a lot of friends?
No,
Oh, you had your high school buddies.
just the ornery ones.
What was your mom's name?
Myrtle,
Myrtle.
the toughest minded woman that you would ever know under circumstances that was unreal. Very tough.
Okay. What was your dad's name?
David, okay, they always call him Hop.
Oh.
Can you describe him?
We'll kind of let that one slide a little bit.
Okay.
He
Well, he
was,
was a hard worker. He worked at the mines.
well, yeah, he was a hard worker, and Dad had a very, very hot temper. So there's no use going too much in that. But no, he didn't beat up on anybody in the house there. Well, but he gave Mom a hard time lots of times.
Well, he wasn't much of a father to you.
Yeah.
He didn't play ball with you or take you anything or nothing like that. Did he? Ever? Ever?
No.
No.
Is this your interview or mine? I'm sorry about that. But he just, he was a hard worker, and he liked to gamble. And that's about as deep as we need to go on that. And then Mom made a deal with the grocery store owner that owned it, and paid her by the month till it was gone, and as quick as it'd get the payday, she'd run over and make the payment on the house, and to make sure that she didn't lose the house. The backyard, I could always remember seeing her out there hanging clothes. It had 2 clotheslines going down to we had a garage that was built for a car, but we never owned a car. And it went all the way down to there, and a couple of little work sheds, and the outdoor house down there, and we had a lot next door that they owned. It was an empty lot on the corner, and on the empty lot we used to make a garden, and then all around the house, Mom had flowers planted. She had a green thumb; she could grow anything. Always lots of flowers. And had a nice front porch. As a matter of fact, that chair and couch up there was on the front porch. It's 80 years old, over 80 years old, that chair and couch.
Wow.
And a real nice front porch. I'd done a lot of sitting out there.
Sort of a sun porch.
Yeah.
All glass.
Closed
all
in.
glass.
Yeah,
in
closed
here,
in, and
don't
it
you?
was really
That's
neat.
pretty. My full name is Betty Lou Niblet Jones. I have a nickname. My dad is the only one that I know of that called me Boops.
Boops.
Oh, I didn't know
Aw.
that.
My dad called me Boops.
Aw, that's cool.
Well, Pop did that some too.
I was born in Christopher, Illinois, and February the 12th, 1929. My childhood home,
Mm-hmm.
well, crowded. Ludlow, 3-bedroom house. Oh, I slept with 2 sisters in a regular-sized bed. 3 of us in a regular-sized bed. That's not fun. Especially when you had a snorer like my others, my Mildred. Oh, she could just snore. I tell you.
She'd make the pictures on the wall rattle.
Oh. My brothers and sisters in order. Smallest on up.
Mhm.
Sure.
Okay, my smallest is Ronnie, or we called him Ronald. Ronnie. Then Donnie. Then Billy. And then me. And then Mildred. Howard. And Margaret. Close to him. Now, I was very close to my brother, and he was about 5 years older than me, but we were really close. We were really good buddies. And he took me places, bowling, movie, and all that. And my sister Billy, she is still living, and she's 2.5 years younger than me, and we've always been close.
What was the name of your high school?
Christopher Community High.
Grandparents?
My grandparents,
Mm-hmm.
I only had one grandparent that I knew of. They were all passed away before I was born. I had my grandfather, and he was my buddy. He walked me to school,
Oh.
and we went fishing, and he took me to town every payday. His Social Security check came in. He took me to town and bought me something, and went home, and Billy cried. Mom bawled Grandpa out. Why do you do this to Billy?
You maybe were his favorite.
I guess so. He didn't say that. But
He used to swing you too, didn't he?
oh, yeah. But he passed away when I think I was 7 or 8 year old. I was in the 2nd or 3rd grade, I can't remember which.
What can you tell her about your parents?
Well, not a whole lot. They just raised 7 kids. They didn't. You don't have hobbies then. I mean, you just work and that's it. My mother was a midwife. This doctor, our family doctor, I guess that's why we had a good family doctor. He was the town doctor, but he'd call her. He'd say, "Well, just hang around home because so and so's gonna have this baby sometime before dark, or sometime, or he's a real countrified guy." And he'd say, I'll need you. And Mom went to church. Dad didn't go to church. Mom and us kids went to church, but
Tell her about when company came and your mom had fixed more dinner.
oh. We didn't even have a phone there for a long time. I don't even know how she knew they were coming, but then when we got a phone, then they would call. But they'd just drop in from St. Louis or El Dorado and hi, we just, on Sunday. And poor Mom, she'd say, "Oh, why are you staying for lunch, staying for dinner today?" "Well, yeah, if you got enough." And Mom would say, "Well, we'll go wring a couple more chickens next."
Oh wow.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
have more chicken to fry, feed them all. But they did that to my mom all the time, just
Didn't you say she cooked biscuits every day?
every morning, biscuits, yep, and cornbread every Monday, beans, fried potatoes, and cornbread on Monday. That was wash day. Well, wash day was all day, you had to boil your water outside and get started early and all that. And then she had to cook in between time, and for some, and
Where did your dad work?
he worked at the Chevrolet garage. He just kind of helped everybody. He wasn't a mechanic. He kind of was the go-to guy, just errands, and worked down there, wore his white uniform. You'd think he ran the place, but
And wasn't he real neat?
yes, he was very neat. He wouldn't, this, he wouldn't let Doy come in the front door. Younger sister, younger than me. That's her husband. And Doy said one day, he said, every time I come over here, that front door's locked. And I have to go around to the back. And I think it was Mag or somebody says, "Well, dummy, can you figure that out? He doesn't want you walking across that floor. He just cleaned it."
What were your favorite hobbies in grade school and high school?
Just drawing, art. Francis and I together mostly would make signs. Some club or somebody wanted a sign made, and Francis and I would get on the floor with our paper and stuff and make signs. You just do what you have to do back then. You don't have time for hobbies. You go to school and you come home and you do your thing, and then you have to work around the house, and you got your chores. And
When you were little, what did you get for Christmas?
what did I get? Usually 2 things. Pair of shoes and a bag of candy and fruit and nuts all. It wasn't a favorite memory, but I'll never forget that we didn't go to church. We didn't go to the movie on Sunday. We went Saturday to the matinee and we stayed all day. We'd go to the movie, and then so Mom made us go to the movie on Sunday. Oh, we get to go to the movie on Sunday? So I said, okay. And so we were going home, and somebody, I don't remember who it was, said, "You got a new brother." So my baby brother, the youngest one, was born that day on Christmas. That was Christmas Day. Yeah, that we went to the movie on Sunday.
And you didn't know your mom was gonna have a baby.
Why no? So I was 10-year old and I didn't know anything about babies. Not that smart back then. So I know when the other brother started running home, the one next to him, older, he took off running, I guess, walking down the middle of the road and going home. And Dawn took off running. But, you know, she had it at home, that's why she sent us off.
Yeah.
You had your babies at home back then.
Do you remember having any chores when you were younger?
Any chores?
Yeah.
Yeah. Help my mom in the kitchen, cook, help my mom do the dishes, iron, work in the yard. Lots of chores. Take care of the little ones. Lot of chores. A little different than nowadays. Kendra didn't have it that hard.
So, Grandma, when was the first time you saw Pop?
A few months before we got married.
Where was he?
Where was he?
Yeah.
Well, I hate to say that.
Well, it was it wasn't really a tavern, it was
Sort of a dance hall.
it was a dance hall.
Dance hall. They always had a band.
Yeah,
And a lot of young kids went. And
on Saturday nights.
and I think they did serve alcohol in another part of
Oh,
it.
yeah, they did.
Yeah, but it was for all of the young, there was no place else, you know, so we went over there. There'd be somebody'd have to go early to get a table, a big table, and usually there were we'd get a cab, about 6 girls, 5 or 6 of us, and we'd go over there, and that's where I saw him at. He came up and asked me to dance.
Pop, what did you think when you saw Grandma for the first time?
What did I think? I think, you want to dance?
No, don't answer.
I don't know, but she was the prettiest one in the room. And she always has been, outside of our daughter.
And maybe granddaughters.
Yes, and she's always been the prettiest one in the room. You don't believe it? Look.
It's like a movie star.
She does. What did you think when you first saw Pop?
What did I think of him? I thought he was pushy. He wouldn't leave me alone. He wouldn't leave me alone. I'd tell him he wanted me to dance. I'd say, oh, I'm tired. Oh, come on, just another dance. One more dance. And okay, we'd dance again. And then he'd want to take me home. I'd say, no, I'm with the girls. I have to go home with them. But I don't know. I guess I must have finally let you take me home.
Pop, how did you propose?
I went over at Ziegler, a little jewelry store there, and bought a ring on credit, had to pay for it by the month. And I don't really know.
He bought a ring before he asked me to marry him.
Yeah,
He was pretty sure.
but I don't really know where we were at when I actually asked her to marry. Maybe, yeah, that little convertible we had, Betty,
Yeah,
out at the Watchtower,
yeah.
wasn't that? wasn't that where I asked you to marry me?
Yeah, I think so. More than once you asked me though, but I think that was.
That was the first one probably. We had a real nice little Mercury convertible, and they had a watchtower. It kind of in between cities.
They had little watchtowers around in that part of the country so they could watch out for fires, you know. It wasn't like a big one, but just people would go climb it.
Well, it was fairly tall.
Yeah, it was fairly tall. And of course, the younger people loved to go to the top of the tower, you know. That was the place to go.
And the way when I wasn't with her or anything, and there was guys out there, we didn't go up the steps. We climbed out on the rails. And
Can you guys describe your wedding day?
a friend of ours and his girlfriend at that time, I guess, took us.
His wife, but they were married.
They were married. Anyway, where did we get married? Mayfield, Kentucky. Mayfield,
Kentucky.
yeah. So he took us, drove us down to Mayfield, Kentucky to, I guess, a justice of the peace or something. It wasn't a church or anything, but anyway, we got married there. It was just 5 or 10 minutes or whatever, you know. And, okay, let's go home.
Who was there?
So we went over
Who
to.
was there? Couple that took us.
That
What
was
was
it?
her name?
and the
King.
Justice of the Peace and his wife, Faye and Junior King. Junior King he grew up with, and
Well, Junior and I joined the service together.
that's right.
So anyway, and then we went back to Southern Illinois down in there, and your BJ and I went over to a little. It wasn't a hotel or anything, just 2 or 3 rooms right next to the railroad tracks. Was just about as close as that door to our room, and that's where we spent the night.
Oh, that train. All night long trains. That was a busy train. That was a 2-story place.
Was it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you had already been to the service then? You were already home from the service?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can you describe that, being in the service?
Being in the service.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we just enlisted. I don't know why we enlisted, but anyway, he really wasn't that good of a. We weren't really that good of friends, really. But I don't know how come. But we got involved there, and we became pretty good friends then. And so we decided to go into service, and
He quit college to go.
so that's where we went. I wanted to be a dentist.
Can you tell me about when Kendra was born, when Grammy was born?
She came out. We waited for a long time, and then I believe it was at nighttime, in the middle of the night, and they finally brought her out, and some nurse or somebody had her in her, and she was just solid blood. And I thought, oh, she's dead. I said, she's dead.
That's how much he knew about babies.
So anyway, I guess I almost went into a frenzy or something, and somebody slowed me down some way. I don't know how, but said, no, she's not dead. That's the way it is. Okay, so that's first introduction. The question again.
Can you describe Kendra when she was younger?
Yeah, picture right there. When she's growing up, and you can probably see it there in that picture, that she always had to have her purse with her. Carried that thing everywhere. So I guess they knew she was going to wind up with a little money. We went back to Illinois on vacation every year, and right around the 4th of July. So, but anyway, we went back there and had fun with our relatives and kinfolks, and we stayed about 2 weeks and then come home. And at one time on the way home, we stopped at a little restaurant and the highway and headed for home again, and Kendra started crying. And come to find out, she left her purse.
Oh, my purse.
I said, well, we'll get you another one. I said, you don't have a whole lot of money in it. We'll get you.
You might have been spoiled.
So anyway, we got off of the turnpike and went back. God, I don't know how many miles it all involved, but and they had her little purse there, so we got it all over again.
Oh, we should have framed that purse and never thrown it away.
Pop, can you describe the businesses you had?
The businesses that I had.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Walter Butler Motors. I was a salesman there in Buckeye, Arizona. Lincoln Mercury. Yeah, well, that was in West Frankfort, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Swift Motor Company in Gila Bend. J&N Car Company in Buckeye, Arizona. Ken and Earl started a little used car lot. Edward Oldsmobile. Of course, there was a few things in between there, but Edward Oldsmobile
Don't jump down.
went up there. Rudolph Chevrolet, and the Edward that had the Oldsmobile dealership talked me into going over and working for him at the Oldsmobile dealership, and I was a used car manager there. And then there's another one here. I can't read that either, Betty.
Luke Grubb.
Yeah, Lou Grubb Chevrolet. Was a used car manager there. Goodyear Auto Sales. Opened up a used car lot. Then Ken and Jerry, Ken Jones Car Company.
Bill.
Oldsmobile. That's some sort of a plaque I got at the Oldsmobile dealership. And then sales, Ken Jones Car Company. But I always kind of wanted to do it on my own, though. I didn't want anybody else messing around. But there was a lot of jobs in front of that. A lot of jobs.
For a newsman.
Yeah, well, we went couldn't make a living in southern Illinois. There's no jobs around there, and we were young, and we went up to St. Louis, and I had a shirt tail relative that worked at General Motors, the Chevrolet division of General Motors, and Jerry McCauley and I went up there, and I got a job there, and he didn't. He didn't, so I worked there a little while, putting on the assembly line, putting headliners in cars, the roof, the cloth on the inside, and I didn't like that too well, but didn't stay there too long. I don't know whether I think I probably went back down to southern Illinois.
He quit and came home to see me.
Yeah, well, no, that
You
was
were homesick.
no, that was well, probably that too. But then I wound up still couldn't find any work down in Illinois, so then I went back up to St. Louis and worked and got a job with McDonnell Aircraft. They built airplanes. That was really one of the most enjoyable jobs I ever had. These big planes, they called it skin, on the outside, and they riveted it together. And the foreman on the crew found out that I was pretty handy with my hands, and I became a troubleshooter. If they'd make a mistake on the plane, like the plane, if there was a mistake, I'd go down and fix it. But somewhere in between that, I had that produce. I worked for White's Bakery. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Before that, before we came back down,
Before we came out here, yeah.
before we came down from,
Oh, too much in 90 years. I don't know how you did all that in 90 years.
but I had a bakery. They had a bakery product. Man, they were good bakery. Remember that stolen
Oh,
deal?
that was, yes.
Man, but anyway, I had a route all out in the country, up around Belleville, Illinois, and all around up in there, selling that pastries. And I thought that, well, I think I'll just make me a produce route out of this. So I got an old van and put it together and had a motor overhauled in it, and just started going to San Luis and buying produce and taking it on. I had my route all set up, you know, for the ones at the bakery route, so I just used that, and I delivered produce to the gals. They just loved to see me come. All fresh produce, you know.
Women just loved him.
Just out in the country, you know, fresh produce. You don't get it. If you go into town once a month, you know, you might get a spoiled potato or something. But man, I had those big potatoes and bananas on the stalk, and I don't know. Is that after that? Did I go in the coal mines? I just height or down underground. I couldn't handle it, and about a year, and the mines closed up, and everybody was coming out crying and sobering and what we're going to do. And happiest day of my life. Don't have to go back down in that damn thing. And Kendra knows about this, but anyway, I think I'll take it. Am I making you sleepy? Huh? So anyway, I'll shorten these stories up. So anyway, we decided to put a car wash in there. Not an automatic wash, but where they come in and wash the cars themselves, and everybody thought I was nuts, including BJ. And I went ahead anyway and built a little car wash there. It cost us $95,000. So back there, and I put a detail shop back there to detail cars. And so had a little office back there. We sold cars out of there and detailed cars. And anyway, so I wound up, we wound up, we sold the car, the car wash, made about $85,000 on it, and that was pretty good money for back then. And went on back and just started working out of the detail shop back there, and after 6 or 8 months or something like that, and a fellow over on the road that owned a tire store over on Highway 85 sold his tire store, and he had a young man that his son that wanted a little business or something, and got together, and I thought, well, I'll just sell you this, and he can run this. He said, okay. So I sold that for $175,000, and that was slick. That was free. So we made a little money down there, and that's how we lived for a while. And then I built another car place on Van Buren, a little fancier car place. Ran it for a while. Finally wound up selling that. What else did we have, Betty? But something else I built.
That's all.
Yeah, so I've had 1,000 jobs.
A lot.
What
Yeah.
made you come to Arizona?
Work, food.
Food, well, yeah. Kendra, we left a snowman in the front yard of the house we was at, and I went to the bank, and Kendra had a big savings account over there, and we closed it out, $91, and loaded up in a red '53 Mercury sedan without air, coming to Arizona.
You worked some, Mom. Where did you work?
Oh, I worked at the telephone company and the hospitals. That's about it.
What did you do at the telephone company?
What did I do? Switchboard operator.
Well, Leah doesn't even know what
Switchboard. Have you ever seen a switchboard in the movies? Haven't you seen a movie where they got the switchboard with all these, then you plug it in? Everybody in town, their phone number was up there if a phone would ring, a little thing would drop, and you'd know which one it is. Of course, you're sitting there with the headset on, and you're plugged into the machine, and then you say, "Number, please."
And you'd connect them. You'd connect them to who they were calling.
Yeah, "Number, please," and they'd tell me, and then I'd connect them. I'd get the other and connect them together.
And could you
I
hear them?
and ring the other one, whoever they want. I'd ring them.
Could you hear them talk?
Oh yeah.
Would you listen to other people?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sometimes we'd have fun. We'd listen. We'd listen. And there was I remember this one woman, and she'd say, "I know you're there listening. You better get off of this line now. I'm going to report you."
And you probably said, "Why, I am not."
And we just shut her off, and we'd giggle and everything, and we'd listen. And this one gal, she worked the night shift. I don't know how old she was or anything, but we were big buddies because we kept each other awake. And we'd call each other to keep us awake, I guess. And then she'd get these calls all the time from this guy, and she told me, "Now, you don't ever say anything about this now," because this was her boyfriend, a married guy.
Oh.
Well, yeah, I worked a year after, I think, and then I got a job at the hospital. I liked nursing, and I always thought I'd be a nurse. But I worked in outpatient, and I took care of that. I took care of the emergency room. I had to see that it was stocked, and if they had an emergency, they called me to go in there with the doctor.
Were you certified?
I think I was a nurse, And I worked in the nursery, took care of the babies. I went in the delivery room. Anyway, that was fun. And I don't know why I quit it.
Didn't they tell you you couldn't become a nurse because of your hearing?
That was out here.
Yeah.
That was out here later.
I did.
And Mom also worked at the high school for a while.
5 years, yeah. She worked at the high school.
How did you get your hair like this in this picture, Grandma?
Had that one?
How did you get your hair like this?
Put it on rollers every night.
Did a lot of people
Whatever,
do their hair in rollers?
Just old brush rollers. And that's how it worked out.
You look so pretty. I like your clothes. Did you spend a lot of money on clothes when you were in high school?
School.
No, we didn't have money in high school.
You spent all you made on clothes.
When I went to work, I spent all my money. I worked at, when I was working at the telephone office, me and my best friend, Doris Young, she worked at the telephone office too. And we would go shopping every payday. We'd go down to Strunk's, what was her name? Strunk's dress shop or whatever on the corner of Main Street. And we'd go in, man, we'd just, and if they'd always let us know that we were their best customers. They'd call us and say, we got some things coming in next week. You need to get down here now before somebody else gets in here and get the first pick, you know.
Well,
Cute little dress shop.
the story I heard, Pop thought you had a lot of money
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Ma.
because you dressed so good, and you thought he had money because he had such a nice car.
Yeah.
No, the first car that I bought, believe it or not, was a brand new Ford. Because that's right when I got out of the service, and I had a little money. I never spent any money in the service. I saved everything, and I bought a two-door sedan, a black two-door sedan Ford. And I found out real quick that I couldn't afford it. So then I took it over to Carbondale, yeah, and got an old wore-out Pontiac just without spending any money. You know, they just take that over with the payments and everything that was on it, and give me that old Pontiac, and it wasn't worth bringing home. But anyway, rattle and air come through on it, just terrible, and not noisy. You
And
ever?
Mag, my sister would say, hey, Betty, hurry up. Here comes Ken. I hear him hit the railroad track. The railroad track.
It was a terrible
He had
car.
crossed the railroad track.
Well, about how much did that new car cost back then?
I think, if I remember right, I think it was a little less than $1,000, 900 and something.
And that was what year about?
Probably in the 40s, late 40s.
47.
And how much was the first house that you bought?
It was less than $10,000. I think it was seemed like to me it was 9,000.
9,000 something.
Yeah, it was 9,000 something.
9,500, I think.
Yeah.
Is what we paid.
A brand new,
Brand
three
new
bedroom,
3-bedroom.
1.5 bath house. It was nice.
I'll tell you a cute story if you want to hear a little story about that house. We wanted some palm trees where you come in the drive. I wanted a palm tree there and a palm tree there. So let's go over and I know where there's some palm trees. We'll go get them. Go get me a couple palm trees. So we went over in this little area and had grass and weeds and this and that all in it and trees and this. So we got in there and there was a couple little palms there that I said, well, just what did I ask you to hold, a rake or something, or
Oh, do something. I don't
said,
know. And I let out a scream.
and she said, there's a snake over here, there's a snake over here, and I looked around, there was a rattlesnake over there.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, you just stay cool, we'll get these trees and then we'll leave.
Yeah, just don't get the
Yeah.
trees.
He didn't say get out.
But that was crazy. I didn't have much brains when I was nothing. I wasn't afraid of nothing. Nothing. I didn't care about nothing, and I didn't worry about nothing, and that's the way it is.
Well, is there anything else that you guys want to say?
No.
No.
Yeah, mistakes. I made a couple of mistakes that were very costly, and I'll tell you a couple of them. On the last place that we built, I built a shop in the back and a nice office in the front, and it was at 705 East Van Buren, and it was growing in there then, and had this guy that worked for Sand Chevrolet that was always wanting to buy a used car lot or this and that. And he had a friend that was a multimillionaire. And I was building this place, and they got involved with it. And then he said, well, we'll buy that from you when you get it built. We'll buy it from you. I said, no, it ain't for sale. But $140,000 in it. but it was brand new and nice and clean, and boy, it pretty. It's still there. And I said, yeah, well, $260,000 you can own it. So, okay, so we met over at this little real estate office, and I got to thinking, I really don't want to sell this place. I really don't want to sell it. They said, well, how about if we give you another $25,000? How would that be? And I said, not good. That's it. I don't want to sell it. Got up, walked out, got her, and we left. It wound up that I turned down about $135,000 in cash. And then I run the place, and
That's enough, that's enough.
yeah, well, that is enough of that, that's for sure. But that was a big one. But we didn't lose anything. I kept,
No, you still did good there.
yeah, I did pretty good there.
Huh?
What have you learned in 70 years of marriage?
Well,
I'd rather not talk about it.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing that for me, it's a miracle that we lasted, because you just have to. You just have to believe, and I don't know. I just everything I ever done was for either BJ or for Kendra, and I just kept it digging. And I don't know how she lasted. I really honestly don't. I was never home half the time,
Not been easy.
and it just but you just she's still tough. She's a hell of a lot tougher than I am.
Keep working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know, that's just, you'd be surprised how fast years go by. You think they're slow? Don't worry about it.
Kendra's finding that out
I'm
already.
finding that out.
Yeah, they did. You just don't know it.